Well, today's Saturday, so I don't work. I did not work at my equipment rental driver's job. So about 9 o'clock I came out, started Uber and Lyft. But first I wanted to get coffee, and so I drove a couple of kilometers to a Starbucks. And the first ride I got was, I think it was Lyft, pretty much right from my area. So I had to go back 2 kilometers to my home area. But all in all, I did 4 rides with Lyft, which the gross. People always ask stupid questions. Is that before expenses? Like, why would I tell you before expenses? This is what I see. This is what I see on my screen. You see that at the top there? Yeah, sorry, it's very shiny. Yeah, but it says number 49 something, right? And then it says 4. So that means that I made $49.56, of course, gross. That's what Lyft paid me. And I had 4 rides. Now with Uber, I did better. I made 116, what is it, 97, and I did 8 trips. So basically a total of 12 trips. For some reason, usually Saturdays are busy, but this was not one of those Saturdays. But and I already cashed out. You know, the good thing about this is that you can either wait till Tuesday. That's when they pay me. Both Lyft and Uber, every Tuesday they send money to my bank account and there's no charge. Or if I need the money, if I want to have money right away in my debit card account, I just click cash out, and so it's like minutes, 2 minutes, and you see the money in your account. So today I made what, 175 bucks, again gross, and that money is already in my account. But some memorable trips were the last one from Lyft. Like these crazy kids, you know, they're killing me here. Like we have a bunch of these, I don't know, 7-8-year-old kids, and they're running around, they're playing soccer here, you know, like football. They're driving some scooters, and I don't know why their parents don't take them somewhere, you know, like a real facility where you can play sports. They play right on the grass in front of the windows, and they always, like, they have these shrill, loud voices. And I keep complaining to the condo, but you know. But anyway, so the last trip with Lyft, it was 17 bucks. And Lyft is always cheaper than Uber. So 17 bucks, but I did 21 kilometers. You know, I definitely... So total today was, I think it was pretty much like a $1 a kilometer, again, Canadian, right? I reset my odometer every morning before the shift, and so I know exactly how many kilometers I drove, and it's always pretty much equal to $1 per kilometer, which is ridiculous a little bit, because when I was doing DoorDash and Uber Eats, I thought, oh man, these, you know, Uber taxi guys, they probably are rolling in dough, you know. But with DoorDash and Uber Eats, of course, Uber Eats you have to decline like 9 out of 10. It was super cheap, but DoorDash was maybe 50% was bad. But you can, if you're patient, you can get like, again, 10 bucks for, you know, for 3 kilometers. Oh, somebody give me a tip. Who was it? So I got 2 tips today. Oh, it's this one. Cool. So this last trip I was talking, the one that I just said, $17 for 21 kilometers. This lady gave me a tip of $4.47. And now I made, my gross was $21.50. And now what I do with Lyft, when I don't give any ratings to passengers, but when I do get a tip, I go in here and it says rate passenger, and then I can add a note, and I can say thanks for the tip. And this was a young lady, beautiful lady. She was going to Arrivals to meet a friend. Sounded like a boyfriend. But we had a super nice chat. So she works for one of the airline companies. Not a stewardess, but somewhere on the ground. I think she deals with like something like customer service, you know, disgruntled passengers. And we were chatting about this hailstorm, and you know, and Uber, and a bunch of other things, you know, like real estate, you know, going up in price. And I had a good time, you know, like 20 kilometers, and I had a feeling they should give me a tip because she was very nice. She gave me a couple of tips, like advice on, I mentioned that, you know, I do photography on the side, and she gave me some advice. She says, try actually applying with our airline, because we hire freelance photographers for various events. So now I know which website to go to. So this was one tip, and then another tip was also another tip was, oh yeah, this guy, I picked him up at the airport and took him to eastern Calgary. He flew in from Toronto. He came here for vacation. He said 1 week vacation. And we had also a very good time, very pleasant guy, like, you know, young guy. We had some nice chat. And so something was telling me that he'd give me a tip. And so it was 8 kilometers, and originally paid like $8, but he gave me a tip, $3.74. You know, so you do get tips in Uber, but you have to be really good. Whereas with DoorDash and Uber Eats, as long as the food not cold and you're on time and you follow instructions, you know, like they say, don't ring the bell, or on the opposite, you know, leave at the door and knock on the door, or don't ring the bell but knock, or don't knock, ring the bell. So as long as you follow those instructions and the food is not damaged and everything is there, 9 out of 10 you get a tip, right? So here you have to work to get tips, you know, like I always get off my butt and open the trunk for people when they have some bags. And actually I have to do it because most people don't realize that modern cars, it's all sensors and remote control. So they try to slam that, you know, my fifth door, or like the hatch, down. A couple of times I said, oh, please stop, you know, like, because it doesn't want to go by itself. It's going, but I was afraid they would break it. Like, there's a button there on the side inside the trunk. I push that and the thing closes. And there's another button near my mirror, rear view mirror. And so I always get out because I'm afraid people will break my hatch, or of course I help them with bags. And so yeah, this guy gave me a tip. And then with Uber, I'm registered for Uber Pets. Call me crazy, but I'm looking for all kinds of, you know, opportunities. My car, I can do Uber Comfort, which pays more than Uber X, and I also registered for Uber Pets. Basically anything to stand out from the crowd. And my strategy paid off today, because I did a couple of Uber Pets. I did not see any difference in pay, but today I received the offer, and Uber pretty much take everything, unless like now at the end of the day I already wanted to go home, and I was passing the airport and they're sending me an offer saying airport to downtown, and you know, and it's like 20 kilometers, and then since I wanted to go home anyway, so I would have to go back or sit there and for another hour. Like today was slow, but anyway, so this Uber Pets, let me find it trip here. You see, that's what I'm dealing with, all this shouting and laughing all the time. So it was 10 kilometers, but it paid $16, you know. So from just east of downtown to west part of downtown, but it was, you know, almost 11 kilometers. and it was 16 bucks. And so I was afraid, you know, I was ready to throw the blanket, because I carry a couple of blankets in my trunk for pets, you know. But I asked him, you know, like, is the dog, let's say, gonna sit on the floor where there's a mat, or is it gonna be in your lap, or like, do we need to put the blanket down, you know, because I don't want the paws of the dog, you know, it's walking on dirt, right? And then I don't want it to be on leather. That's why I have the blankets, no big deal. But to my surprise, two guys come out, and one guy is like almost hunched over because he's carrying, you know, one of those things where like a carrier for cats, and there's like two huge cats inside, and it seems very heavy because it's like this. And so he had cats in this carrier. Cool, you know. And so I said, so no need for the blanket. And I said, can we put them in the trunk? And they look in the trunk, and they saw that it was not completely sealed off, right? There's an area over the seats, so there's lots of fresh air, and I had air conditioning going. And so yeah, it was like 16 bucks for 10 kilometers, which is awesome for Uber, because like I said, usually it's like $1 per kilometer if you're lucky. And then they gave me a tip. They give me $3.62 in tips, so I ended up making $20 for 10 kilometers. Again, gross, but still, you know, like gross revenue, $2 a kilometer, you know. So, and that's why I'm still interested in maybe in the future in getting into a vehicle that qualifies for more of these special things, like, you know, Excel or Premier, because those ones, they definitely should pay better. And so yeah, so I started at 9 and just finished at 4. Didn't reach my goal of 200 bucks, just 175, but it was close enough. But I was hungry at lunch, and I spent 30 bucks at the shawarma place. But you know, I was hungry, so I go inside and I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna get like a kebab bowl. You know, it's like kebab meat, like different types, chicken, lamb, beef, and then, you know, some rice, some potatoes, like whole thing, you know. And that was $21. Okay, I can afford, you know, a meal like that a couple of times a week. But then you add the sales tax, 5%, the tip. I had to give him a tip because these guys are good. It's Jerusalem Shawarma, and they have a chain all over Calgary. And then of course I needed a drink, so I took a, you know, diet cola for some reason. Now they don't have Coke, they don't have Pepsi, they have cola, like the super cheap one they probably get from Real Canadian Superstore. And the final thing with the tips and the sales tax was 29 bucks. So I made 175 and I spent $30 on food. Not very smart, but what do you do? But I had fun. Again, met lots of interesting people. Who else was there? Actually, yeah, LYFT. So this last lady from working for the airline. Oh, and in the morning, the first trip I did, the one where I said I had to go to back to home area, there was a turbo, like a surcharge, like Uber calls it surcharge, Lyft calls it turbo. So I got lucky because at that point in time, in that area, it was 40% turbo, which pretty much the same as getting a tip, because my base earnings were $7.85, but 40% turbo added $3.14. Okay, so I ended up making $11.54 because there's GSTs included there. Oh, and the last thing I wanted to mention, the funny thing, again, it was cheap, but I was in the area, the pickup was nearby, so I go there, and the guy opens the door, and he's a young kid, but he's in painter's clothes. Like, all his clothes are covered in paint. And I'm like, holy moly. I said, wait, does that thing come off? Like, what is this? And he said, no, it's dry paint. I was really upset with the guy. I said, you know, how do you like if he were to go on a public transit, I think he might have some issues. You know, like he was really dirty, but dirty meaning it was dry paint. So I said, can I touch it? So I touched it on his pants, and it was really dry. It wasn't scrubbing, you know, rubbing off. But still, I said, do you mind if I get a blanket that I use for dogs? So, so I got the blanket, put it down, and then I realized that there's another stop. And I know this. I had a ride like this before. It's where these construction guys, they pool their resources, and they go. Last time I had 4 people get in, all dirty, and we dropped off one guy, then another guy, and then the last 2 guys. So I had like 3 stops, 2 intermediate stops and 1 final stop. And so this time was a reverse. They were going to work, right? So I picked up this one guy, and then I said, how many are we picking up at this next stop? And he couldn't hardly spoke English, you know, Indian guy. And so we pick up another guy, but he doesn't look too bad. And I took him to a house. I'm guessing they were working on a house. But yeah, that's what, of course, you can get. People don't care about your leather and stuff like that. They wear dirty clothes, so you gotta be ready. And of course, I have my spray, so every once in a while, you know, I check back to look at the seats if somebody left any fingerprints, because you know some ladies, especially in hot weather, they mess with suntan lotion, and then or they have some cream or something, but when they leave, you know, let's say they touch the seat somewhere and you'll see fingerprints, you know. So I have to use my spray and the towel, boom boom boom, quickly clean it up, looks like new again. And then once I had a kid a couple of weeks ago, 2 kids, and to my horror I see that the kid is chewing something. That's what that's what you think as a taxi driver. Like the kid is chewing something and she has something greasy in her hand, like a chocolate, you know. And I'm like, holy moly, I'm gonna have this stuff all over my seats. And of course, their legs are short, so when they put them in on the seat, their legs with the dirty sandals are right on the seats, right? Like it was a super small girl, maybe I don't know, 4 years old, but she was chewing some chocolate. And so as soon as I drop them off, right away I opened the trunk, I got my spray, I went to look on the back seat, and sure enough there was some like, you know, sticky fingerprints where the kid was sitting. I'm guessing she was chewing something and then she rubbed her hands against the seat. And so you need to, when you're driving for Uber and Lyft, always have some kind of a cleaning supplies in your trunk, you know. And the last advice also I wanted to mention here is it always helps to have empty trunk, because some guys that I used as an Uber passenger, you know, let's say have some bags or something, right? They open their trunk, they have a whole bunch of stuff in there, right? And which sometimes can be a problem, you know, if you're at the airport picking up guys and I had situations where people would have like 6-8 bags, and what helps with my Jeep, I can drop down the rear seat. It goes down, which later then you can put bags on the back of the seat, which now kind of like serves as an extension of the trunk, you know, which helps. I remember I had a mother and a daughter, and I picked them up at a, you know, real Canadian superstore, like a big grocery store, and they had so many bags that I couldn't fit them in the trunk. So I said, okay, there's 2 of you, right? So one of you can sit in the front next to me, and I'm gonna drop the rear half of the seat, and then one seat on the right side, on the passenger side, is still available for a passenger, right? And so that's what they did. So we used the bigger half of the rear seat as an extension for the trunk with lots of bags, and then the daughter sat in the front, and she was cute, and the mother sat in the back, and she didn't speak any English, so they would switch sometimes some language. I said, and then it sounded actually beautiful, and after a while I said, excuse me, what language is that? And they said Arabic. And I said, sounds actually nice, you know. I like that better than Hindu, for example. Anyway, so that was my day today in Calgary, Alberta, August 10th, 2024. So $175 from 9 to 1, and then I took that $30 expensive lunch at the shawarma place, probably 40 minutes, and then pretty much, you know, no, maybe 30 minutes, and then maybe 1:30 to 4. So not too bad in terms of hours, except I did a lot of too many kilometers. I don't like it. $1 per kilometer is just too cheap. So my Jeep today turned over 28,000 kilometers, and I got it last July. So now we're in August. So 28,000, that's a bit too much for 13 months, you know, because when you're selling it, most people would want to see somewhere around 20K per year. So let's say if the vehicle is 3 years old, they're gonna expect 60,000 kilometers, not 100,000. You know, but if I do, by the end of the year, if I keep doing it, by the end of the year, I'd probably have another 10,000. So I'm probably gonna be at 40,000, and that's in 1.5 years. That's a bit too much. So I don't know. But basically, yeah, from now on, I started again carrying the bag, which actually folds, you know, the bag for food, like a thermal bag. So it folds, it doesn't take pretty much any space in the trunk. I fold it, put it under the blankets. And so when I tried it today, when Uber and Lyft, I have both running and nothing's going on. And I was in a busy area for DoorDash. So I started DoorDash, and I think I got an offer from Uber. So I had to turn off Lyft and turn off DoorDash. And even though I tried it a couple of times today, but wasn't able to do a single food delivery. But I'm gonna try tomorrow, maybe come out later in the day, because Sundays usually people start using taxi like probably after lunch. So I'm gonna come out maybe around 11-12 o'clock after I have my own lunch and see what's going on. Yeah, I'm gonna bring over the bag, but I'm still with Uber. I don't want to do Uber Eats because it's just a waste of time. It's too cheap, and my phone will be ringing off the hook, you know. So for now, I'll be using just 3 apps: DoorDash, Lyft, and Uber. And with Uber, I have Uber X, which is the cheapest taxi, and then I have Uber Comfort, which is more expensive because my Jeep is 2023, and then I can do Uber Pets. So Uber Pets, Uber Comfort, they pay better. And if I had a Suburban or Tahoe or Yukon, I would qualify for XL and Premier, which should pay better still. So thanks for watching.